our podcast, keeping it real.
There's clients after the first month say, I can't do this, right? And fair enough. They might not be ready to do this. If they're not ready to take that first baby step, they're enjoying overspending, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like trying to, somebody who's addicted to alcohol or drug and telling them, no, just stop.
Right.
They're not going to. My time is more valuable than your time. Just like for you, your time is more valuable than my time, right?
We didn't have a lot of money, things were too expensive back then. They couldn't afford certain things. But somewhere in their conditioning, they learned that I'm not going to make the same mistake. And then there are some people who have the same background where they've seen their parents make mistakes and they make the same mistakes.
A recent one that I did where the husband was right on the ball. The wife is just not, like, she thought credit card was her money. Right? When you hear about families not working out and couples separating, majority of the times, if it's not infidelity, it's financial.
100%. Okay, so let me ask you this. When you sit down with a client and it's clear that they have a debt problem, which I think is a lot of the problems, but how do you make them feel comfortable? Because I think that is the biggest thing. People don't feel comfortable. That's why they don't some of them are very good. They know what their problem is, but a lot of them don't. And they blame it on I have no time. Oh, the kids are taking all my money, or this house is expensive. You know what I mean? How do you bring back the conversation to how they got there in the first place?
What I have, this is me. I don't know. Like I'm.
That's okay. No, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking you.
I have, when you sugarcoat things or when you pamper the bit long run, it doesn't help. So I'm very like direct in a sense. Okay.
Okay, so talk to me like I'm your client,
So,
and we had a building where we talked, we did the small talk, blah blah.
well, it's all situational because it's all environmental, and there's so many different things that build into the relationship you have with that specific person at that time. So that's when people ask me to do that. That's really difficult for me unless we
Okay.
do it all. But let me tell you this. So
Okay.
I let them know. One, they're not the only ones in this situation. The majority of people are exactly in the same situation they are in, maybe with different
Perfect.
variables, but I let them know that. But number two, I also tell them that it's their fault. Everything, I let them know that, no, because it is. The reality is you've chosen to be where you are. If you want to change
Okay.
where you are, you have to make the choice to make that change as well. I am here to guide you and show you what you need to do. But if you're not going to make the choice, then I can't help you. And I let them know that it's, it's very, I don't try, people say it's okay, we're gonna like, and try to sugar, and I don't do that with people because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
find,
yeah.
yeah, I find that it's better. I just let them know, hey, listen, this is what it is. This is the reality. This is life. It's time to become an adult and take care of the situation because some people are not ready to do that yet. Even though they want to, they're not ready to.
Hmm.
So what are we gonna do? Just exchange a conversation. You can have that conversation with Buddy over a beer, right? And
Hmm.
and and be in the same spot. You don't have to be there taking up a professional's time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Okay.
doing that. So I've kind of transitioned myself to taking on that approach, especially when it comes to debt, because debt seems to be the thing that, if someone's not ready to do it, they will continue to avoid doing it.
Okay, so what makes somebody who's not ready to do it not do it? Like, what makes somebody not ready when they're clearly that what their words is saying is, I want to do this, but I'm not ready. How do
Well,
you?
because they still want to spend the way they're spending. They still want to most of the people in debt, and this is just, I mean, there's no ways around it, is they're living a lifestyle above their financial lifestyle, like above their
Yes.
financial means. That's all it is they're living beyond their means. So if they're not willing to step down from that and realize, hey, this is how much I make. This is my life responsibilities. This is my disposable income, right? And so I can only work with my disposable. I can't work. I can't spend outside of my disposable income. And if I want to start saving, if I want to start kind of a saving and a retirement plan, well, that's going to take away from my disposable income,
Yeah.
right? And this is the thing is they want to live in the moment. They want to live in the moment and just keep spending that, not realizing. And this is is an ongoing, this has been in pretty much every single podcast we've ever done, not realizing that there's going to be a time in their life where they can't, that disposable income is going to dwindle.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time, people, in your life where your disposable income is going to dwindle. And if you haven't set up an emergency fund, if you haven't set up a savings, an investment plan, if you haven't saved up personal protection, something there is going to eat away at that disposable income, and you're going to get stuck. And that's when people start to get overburdened and feel that overwhelmed feeling. And it happens regularly. It's not something that happens, 10 years from now, where this all of a sudden something takes away from you. It's regular. Anything from, oh, my car just broke down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or my pet is sick now and I have to go to the vet, right? Anything, those things are all going to impact that disposable income. And those are the things that are, because you have these situations happen. You don't have any emergency fund. You have no preparations for any unforeseen event, right? So you're taking from your disposable income and you're paying for these unexpected things, but you're still spending the way you were when those unexpected things didn't happen. So that's what's digging that debt hole, right? So even if you are just spending within your disposable income, but you haven't done any savings, sure, you may not have a plan. You're still holding your head above water until something happens, and then that's when you dip. But then if you continue just spending the way you were spending, you're never getting out of that dip. And then something else happens, and you dip a little further. Something else happens.
Right. So then, how do you get them to recognize, instead of just telling them this is your fault? Like, you could tell somebody it's their fault, but if you're there to help them, or do you? Maybe you don't, right? Do you help them so they're recognizing it, which is why you tell them this is your fault. They're recognizing that it's their fault. Habits or what brought them there. Are you in the position? Are you in the position as an advisor yourself, Phil? And I'm asking you your process, because this isn't necessarily my process, but are you in the position to help them shed away those habits? Because really what it is, it's habits. It's not that they're bad. It's not that, again, spending beyond your means is something that we've all kind of decided we wanted to do, because to your point, we want to live in the moment. How do you uncondition them, or how do you get them to start to decide that they want to uncondition that habit?
Well, you can only do so much. One, it's like like a child. Up until a certain age, you can condition them and show them and give them directions for the right way. But eventually, there's going to be times where they're on their own and they're going to make choices on their own, like a child, right? So with clients, we have the tools and the ability to show them, like actually tangibly show them their current budget, right? And it's not emotional. It's very black and white for us. So we just show them on paper, in a presentation. Hey, listen, this is your current situation. And first off, they'll either say, "Oh my goodness, I'm spending $1,000 more than I make, every month." So they can see that one. They might not have never seen that. That's the first step. Right. The second thing we can do is what we show them is, okay, if you just tweak what you're doing right now, this could be what your budget looks like. So we could show them the alternative of doing it right. Okay. And now if it works out where they have this, sometimes, a lot of times you can tweak it just enough where they're actually not in that serious of a situation. Right. Yeah. And if you show them that, they're like, oh, okay, that starts to look good to them. Right. But then you show them, okay, if you continue on the path you're at, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, by the time you're 65, this is what you're going to look like. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if you make these tweaks and you make these adjustments, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 65, this is what you're going to look like. So you can show them forecasting the situation, right? Mm-hmm. We can do that. So now you can sit there, you can show them, okay, this is the choice, right? That you have two choices now: live this lifestyle or live this lifestyle. And they have to make that decision. Now, if they want to, and most people are going to say, I want to live the better lifestyle, of course, right? I want to be able to be out of debt and be in this situation. They're going to show them. If you want to do that, okay, first off, depending, again, and this is again where the variables come in, depending on their current situation, that might be a big jump, right? And you let them know, okay, this is a big jump to get to here. So why don't we start with these little baby steps, now get this ball rolling first, right? And then what we'll do is in our first year of you trying out this new budget plan, we'll meet every 3 months, right? And then we'll assess your situation and figure out if it's working for you and why it is or why it isn't, right? And then we'll just make tweaks along the way, right? And then see how you are after a year. If they're after a year, if they're not physically trying to do this thing, then they're really, I mean, they're no further ahead. There's a problem. They should be already after a year. They should already be getting conditioned to start following this, and you should be able to at that point take the next step, right, to move forward. Now, if someone is more advanced in those 3 month intervals, they may be ready in 3 months. They might be ready in 6 months to make the next step into whatever the process is going to be at that time, right? So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I'm trying to work with my clients on the conditioning of their habits per se. Now, there's clients after the first month say, I can't do this, right? And fair enough. It's possible. They might not be ready to do this. Okay. And if it's something that we're, again, if you're starting off in a small increment, a baby step, if they're not ready to take that first baby step, they're enjoying overspending, right? Too much. And if they're enjoying overspending, that's like trying to, somebody who's addicted to alcohol or drug and telling them, no, just stop.
Right.
They're not going to, right?
No.
They're not going to.
No.
They want to keep digging themselves in that deeper hole, and then eventually if they lose everything, then they want to change their life at that point. Or if they're in a major debt and they're about to lose their home, now they're like, oh, I better get serious about this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Society needs to realize that they can't get to that level. They need to stop bringing themselves to that level, right? And if more homes and more people start realizing, early that, hey, I'm in a bad situation right now, but if I get help in guidance, then it's probably a good thing to do it right now. So I get any deeper, it's going to be worse. It's going to be harder. Like anything, right? It's like anything.
Right.
I randomly was speaking to a person online, just someone that I met over social media, right? And she said, "Oh, I could really use some financial guidance." And I said, "Hey, I'm here for you if you need." Right? I didn't know her. It was just a random that I'd connected with on Facebook actually, and she just she messaged me, "Do I know you?" Because I just connect with everybody on social media. So
Right.
I just connect with everybody. If I have a mutual connection, I'm connecting with you.
Yeah.
Right? I said, "Do I know you?" And I said, "Maybe our paths might have crossed, but chances are no. And this is what I do." And I explained to her why I connected. Right? And then she asked you want to elaborate on what you do? So I told her what I do. Boom, boom, boom. She was like, "Well, I could use some guidance." This was a little bit later at night, around, I don't know, 8:30ish, whatnot. And then so she said, "Well, why don't you reach out to me tomorrow at noon?" So I did the next day at noon, and she didn't get back to me. But then later on, she got back to me and saying, again, now delaying that first discussion, right? And it's a delay. So that's a human thing. That's something that we do is we want to keep delaying and delaying and delaying what we should actually prioritize, right? I don't know why that defense mechanism is built into us, but it always seems to be. That's the first consistent thing. I had a gentleman meet with me, and he literally waited for me after an event that I was at, waited for me in the parking lot. I'm out there, I'm walking. I'm kind of curious as to why he's waiting for me, because he never usually does. And then he starts talking to me about his financials, right?
That's nice. Yeah.
That was like, I don't know, I want to say 4 months ago. And we're still trying to set up the meeting discussing budgeting and his financials with his wife. We're still trying to set that up. He made the point to try and stop me and talk to me. And it's like, now we're waiting until the new year, right?
That friend of yours who is trying to book a time and you're still trying to book a time, and it's been 4 months, right?
Yeah.
And yes, they're trying to delay something that they feel is going to be uncomfortable.
Mm.
Okay. So are you still trying to book that time with him? Like, is he still?
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So I have to, just like they have to prioritize their time as a professional, I have to prioritize my time as well, right?
Yeah.
So I randomly will reach out to them, right? And see, hey, are you ready to meet? Are you ready to meet? Right? And they keep putting it off. But it's not like before. I prioritize them, and I tried to reach out more frequently. Now it's just once in a while I'll reach out, right? And the last thing that they said is in the new year. So I told them. So I put on my calendar to reach out to them at the beginning of the year.
Right.
If they put it off again, then I might reach out 6 months from there, maybe a year from there, maybe never.
Right.
Because here's the thing: is obviously they know how to contact me.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're putting it off, even if we put up a plan now, even if we set something up now, 99.99%, they're not going to follow it.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah, they're not
So
ready.
they're not ready. So what is the point of me taking, hours of my time to work with somebody who really is not serious
Yeah.
about it? And so again, just like we're, as clients, we ask you to prioritize your time. Clients, you have to understand as professionals, we also have to prioritize ours, right?
Yeah.
And if, my time is more valuable than your time. Just like for you, your time is more valuable than my time, right?
Right.
So it's that way. So and you got to accept that. People seem to walk all over professionals a lot of times. They'll set up a meeting and not even reach out and say, hey, I can't make it, something's happened, or whatnot. They just don't show up sometimes, right? That just shows their maturity level when it comes to their life, right? And there's no getting around that. It's just on us, we just move on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we can't help everybody. Just like, that's why doctors, I think, charge money now if you cancel their appointment because their time is worth a lot of money, let's face it. And if you don't make your doctor's appointment or your chiropractic appointment, like any appointment nowadays, you're going to be charged a fee because I'm sure they're turning people away because that spot is filled. And then if you don't show up, they've just kind of like, well, we could have had an appointment in that slot, right?
Yeah.
So very much the same kind of like in our area. I mean, you can make an appointment at the bank and still not go. They're not going to charge you. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're still kind of wasting someone's time as well as your time. So, I mean, to kind of come back to when you are sitting down with the client though, because okay, let's say that they did decide to sit down with you. One of the things I've realized is when I'm talking to somebody about their current financial situation, because very much like you, when I've realized, which most of the time, when I've realized it's like you said, the client's fault, I guess I take a different approach. I actually ask a little bit more about it because if I'm going to help them uncondition this, and first thing, like you said, is I'm going to show them kind of like where they're at. But the thing is that you still have to invest time. Like we have to invest time, Phil, to getting this information from them. So are you like me where, see, I do a lot of my talking at the beginning and I honestly get them to talk at the beginning more than I would ask questions because I know that I can help them. Like I don't really need to even prove that. I don't need to see their numbers. I know I can help them. So that's why I would rather have them talk about how they got there in the first place. I even ask about their childhood. I even ask about, how did you see money growing up? Even the best clients I have who are really good, I'll sit down with them and I say, I need to pick your brain, right? What is it that you guys learned growing up? Like, how did your parents handle money? And they're so open to talking. I have a couple of couples I already know, can think of right now, where they're just so open to talking about how they saw money. And their background was no different. We didn't have a lot of money, things were too expensive back then. They couldn't afford certain things. But somewhere in their conditioning, they learned that I'm not going to make the same mistake. And then there are some people who have the same background where they've seen their parents make mistakes and they make the same mistakes. So it's very interesting kind of finding out where they're coming from because then I'll understand kind of their way of thinking and, kind of how they got there. And then I'll even go deeper. I said, so tell me this, for instance, like you saw your parents struggle. Why are you okay? Like in so many words. And then like most of the time, they'll say, I just didn't want to be there. And they have the best relationships with their partner too. They talk about money. They actually sit down and talk about money. They don't need to have a big formal meeting, but they actually talk about their finances right from the get-go and they're not ashamed to talk about it. A lot of the time you'll have one side of the couple that's very shy about it, but they're so open to learn. And then the other part of the couple is like, I did my research and this is kind of what I do, and this is what RSPs are. Like they're open to share. And so that dynamic is kind of what helps them become and I just find it so interesting when I dig into their history with finances. And I think in a way, for the advisors that are watching this, it's a very good, I guess, exercise to go through with your client because let's face it, clients like to talk about themselves. People like to talk about themselves. If I had somebody, well, like a therapist, right? The therapist is always wanting you to talk so that they can start listening and try to help you. And I'm not trying to call myself a therapist, but in a lot of ways, sometimes I act like that because I might have a customer, couple fighting right in front of me over, what numbers are the numbers, or even like, and I'm sure you've kind of like worked with this, Phil, like, you've had one side of the couple blaming the other for spending too much money, or the other side of the couple not knowing much about money, and one kind of like, can you just get a clue? Or you might not even have both sides of the couple sitting in front of you because the other person is just doing their own thing and they just can't get them to sit down with somebody. How do you
I've
help that? Because
I've had
like,
I've had similar, yeah, kind of both of those scenarios actually, but not I've never had it where the couples are blaming each other. They've been able, so far in my career, the couples have seemed to maintain that camaraderie ship, even though you can tell that one is more financially sound than the other. That you can see that, right? But what I have found is the one that doesn't know that much about financial matters, they're the ones with the spending problem. They're the ones with the financial problem, right? And they're the ones causing the financial problems in the relationship, right? That's very clear and very evident. It's I'm thinking a recent one that I did where the husband was right on the ball. The wife is just not, like, she thought credit card was her money, right? Type mentality. And I mean, he's set up his full plan. He's got his plan moving now, right? Setting things in motion, and she just doesn't want to go there. She does not want to. She does not want to have a financial plan set up for herself. She thinks, well, I gave her a budget. I gave her a debt reduction, because she does have, obviously she's got credit card bills to pay. So I've given her that, and she's just, well, I'm gonna pay off my debt first before I do anything else. Right, I'm just gonna pay off my debt, put my money into paying off debt. That was maybe 6 months ago now. I met with her around Christmas because I'm also her mother's advisor. So her mother's a senior citizen, and she's got the scary enough, the signing authority. So she's the power of attorney for her mother. So yeah, so I got her to sign some papers for her mother, and in that meeting I asked, how are things going? Nothing's really changed, of course, right? So she's still in the same situation and still trying to pay off her debt, right? Well, if she had followed the plan, she should be almost clear of that debt by now, and that's not the case, right? And so now, so after she and I had another meeting, after meeting with her, I had another one literally lined up. I just had to get her to sign papers, and then I was gonna go to my next meeting. She wanted to talk at that moment, right, about her situation. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't right now, but I'll give you a call, right? So then when I was finished at the meeting, I tried to call back to her. She didn't answer. And then, later on, she's saying, I'm not ready to to do anything right now. Again, not ready. But on her social media, she's taking snapshots of her out for dinner. She's taking things of this nature, doing events. They just went on a trip to Niagara Falls, like all these kind of things, right? Like she's doing stuff, right? And I'm going to assume she's doing stuff on credit. That's what I'm assuming, right? I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I know he has his allotted amount for his disposables going towards his retirement. And the reason why he's aware of it is because he actually has he already had a situation where he started with a financial plan before. COVID hit him. He lost his job, and he was able to survive from his emergency fund from before, right? And his investment portfolio. He was able to survive all of that, and then minimize his debt from when he lost his job and all this kind of stuff. And then now he's back working, and he's getting back on his feet, and he wanted to reestablish that plan. He understood the importance because it saved him once already, right? So he understood the importance of it. She doesn't get it. So now, and then I met with another couple. We were in a chat together. She left the chat because, he'll handle everything. He'll take care of everything. So we did. We set up everything on his part, and we set up her with some stuff. But she's the spender. She's the one who spends everything, and if she doesn't understand the importance of not overspending, they're going to run into a problem of not being able to contribute to his plan, right? Because
so how does he have a hold on her? Like, sorry, what I mean by that is she's the spender. In your meeting with him, did he recognize that? A, and B, how is he going to stop her from, taking apart his plan?
Well, the problem he was having in the beginning, the reason why we initially bet is because he had a profession that he's taking him away from home, right? And they have a dual account where, and all his income was being directly deposited into that account, right? When he was away from home for his work, all expenses were covered, so he didn't have to worry about spending anything. So he was thinking, I'm going to get home and we're going to have all this money. They had nothing, right? And everything, like, if anything, they were even more in debt. And he's like, whoa, I'm making like double when I'm away. When I'm away, I make double my income when I'm home, right? But that just gave her more spending money, right? And so that's how I got involved in the picture, because I'm actually his father's advisor, right? So the father recommended me to talk to his son because of this concern, and I gave him options on what to do and things of that nature. But now he's home, so he's able to, control that situation a little bit. But the problem is, though, is they've still got to recover from the debt that she's put him in while he was away. How crazy is that? He goes away for work, makes double the income, and they're in even more debt. When he comes back making half the income, they're trying to repair that debt.
Yeah.
And he's really good with trying to work, and he's really trying to work with me, but he needs to see and understand that he's not the problem, right?
So he doesn't know that yet?
He knows it, but how do you get a partner on board, and things of that nature, if the partner doesn't want to be on board, right? And that's the problem. So he's putting things in place. I gave him, his budget. It's on their fridge, and she's got to reference it. Now it's up to him to stay on her, right? And try and get her to realize it. And this isn't just a husband and wife. This is a husband, wife, mother, like family. So there's kids involved, right? So, and this is the sad part is, when you hear about families not working out and couples separating, majority of the times if it's not infidelity, it's financial.
100%.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't realize it is actually. They think it's like something else. Oh, you don't listen, or they pick apart personality traits. But then if you actually get to the root of what they're fighting about, the root, like, oh, well, you don't do this around the house, you don't do this around, like it actually comes down to how they perceive the financial resources they have and how they're managing it. And I mean, speaking from experience, I would say like that was probably the biggest thing for me. It's unfortunate that I mean, maybe some couples aren't willing to kind of work it out through just a regular therapist, but if they're not even willing to kind of do that, they're not going to work together with a financial coach like me and you, which is unfortunate. And I think maybe at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, I mean, we could ask the perfect questions. We could tell them, hey, you have a choice now. I could go back into their childhood and talk about, what kind of brought you here. But I feel like the fact that we're even doing this in the first place, Phil, sets us apart from many other advisors who literally just take orders, right? And sometimes the people that they're getting orders from, like the clients, they don't even know what they're asking for. They just like, I know I have to start saving for retirement. I'd like to get out of debt. That's why you have these consumer proposal places where I need to get out of the debt, and all they do is get them out of debt, right? And put them into consumer proposal or do the bankruptcy thing or the debt consolidation. Like somebody walks into a bank and they want to get out of debt. The only way that banker can help them is help consolidate it to help them get out of debt with another piece of debt. But that's the only way, right? But see, I guess a lot of it will have to come down to really self-reflecting on, to your point, how did you get here in the first place? Why did you make these choices? Not did you make these choices, because you obviously did, but why did you make these choices? Even if you're going to blame it on somebody else, because some people do, why did you let that happen? Why did you follow their advice, right? Like, I mean, I think going into our next segment, I think it would be very beneficial to talk about, the different types of ways you can get out of debt and maybe be more tangible and technical with how we show our clients how to get out of debt when you feel overwhelmed, right? The step that most people skip is really just realizing why they're there in the first place.
Yeah. To simplify it all, really, here's what it is. If you want to start any kind of debt reduction or financial plan, or just to be able to breathe when it comes to your financials, the first step you've got to do is make that phone call, meet with that advisor. Don't procrastinate on it. If it's bothering you today, meet with that advisor tomorrow. Book that meeting as quickly as possible. And if you're trying to book an appointment with an advisor who puts you off, oh yeah, we'll meet in 3 weeks, probably find a different advisor, right? Because they're not going to have time for you. They're not going to, you're not important to them, right? So, reach out to that advisor. Hey, listen, can we set up a meeting? They say, yeah, sure. Well, let's set it up tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow? Say yes. Make it happen. Prioritize it.
Yeah.
People. That's the first step. The second thing is when they meet with you, don't, paint this picture perfect picture of your life. You're meeting with them because it's not picture perfect. Just tell them what's happening. Let them know what's going on. They are not there to judge you at all. They're not there to judge you. Don't feel like you're being judged. Don't feel like, you're inferior in any way. They have seen this time and time again. They know what, they've seen your story all the time. It's like I said, it's the majority are in your story. So don't worry about it. You're not going to get judged. Just tell them what's going on and let them kind of take away the fog. Let them paint your picture of what's going on in your financial life. Let them do that. It'll offer you the clarity of seeing, okay, this is what's going on. When you're drowning in it, you might not actually see where all your money is going. You may not actually see what you're doing, that it's self-inflicted, right? Now, if you give them the situation, a lot of times I'll meet with a client and they won't even tell me, I forgot to tell you about this part. You didn't forget to tell me. You just didn't want to tell me at that moment, right? But now we're getting, you're starting to see me painting your picture, and now you want to start giving me the information. That just doubles my work, right? That just makes it harder on me. Give me all the information at the beginning, right? Don't hide anything. Boom. Then you'll get this picture, this picture of what's happening in your life, and whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. That's just what's happening. That's the reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling right now. This is what it is. Okay. So now let's take that picture and let's just start tweaking it. Okay. So now that we've started tweaking it, you're starting to see, okay, that makes sense. This is the direction I need to start moving, right? Once you start, like anything, how many times have you thought, oh my goodness, I've got to clean my place, or I've got to start this project, and you're losing sleep over it, it's bothering you. But as soon as you start to do it, you start to feel good. As soon as you start to work on that project that's been bothering you so much, it starts to feel better. It's the same thing with your financials. You're struggling right now, right? But as you start to work on it, you'll start to feel better. You're going to start to, your whole emotional status is going to start to change, right? And then, who doesn't want to feel happy? Eventually, it's like a weight being lifted off your shoulder. That's where the momentum starts, and that's where everything starts to build up. And then once you get that momentum going, people, don't stop it. Run with that momentum. Go with it. Let it take control, right? Take away from the emotional, I can't breathe feeling to a strategy that's going to eventually make that feeling go away. Work with the strategy, right? Like anything, you just start. We're never ready to do anything. Like, who was ready to start their day today when you first woke up? You just start. You just get up, you take your shower, you just go with your day, and then let the events happen. Same. Get that strategy. Starting the financial plan, that's opening your eyes in the morning, right? Taking the shower, that's the implementation of that plan, right? And then starting your day, that's just letting the plan do its course. Let it do its course.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of gone into a lot of other subjects like we always do, Phil. We're going to sign off right now. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe into our channel if you want more valuable content like this. And of course, click the next video so that you can see this conversation continue. Have a good day.
Have a good day, everyone.